Welcome to the Get Out In It podcast, keeping our mental and physical well-being balanced by heading out into nature and doing stuff.
The activity isn't important. Walk, run, hike, bike, whatever it is, just find something you enjoy and get out in it. The point of this podcast is to show how ordinary people can achieve extraordinary levels of health and fitness.
Out here, we'll share informal, inclusive advice for anyone trying to improve their mental and physical well-being, based on our own experiences and professional knowledge from our special guests.
So let's lace up and get out in it.
And here we are. Welcome to episode 34, and what a week it has been. How are you, Maria Herring?
I'm not too bad, thanks, James Bell. I'm a little bit low energy for the end of the week because we've had a really weird sudden cold snap, and I think it's sapped my energy a little bit. But apart from that, I'm all right. How are you?
So it's the cold snap that's responsible for you being tired.
In public, yeah, it's the cold snap.
We'll just get this on record in writing, in audio format, and then we can replay it to you. I'm well. I've had quite a good week, nice and busy, lots of stuff happening. It's been an active week. I've done a lot of traveling. I've lifted lots of weights, so I'm feeling like the new year is rolling on, and I'm quite optimistic about what's to come.
It's really funny because that background behind you shaves off your ears. You're standing there without any ears, and it's weird. I can't even look at you right now.
Well, yeah, I went with for those listening to the audio podcast, you won't know what the hell Maria is talking about, but we do put the podcast on YouTube, and I've gone for a virtual background this week because the room I'm in wasn't particularly tidy, and it was looking nowhere near as cozy as the room you are in, which is
looking nice, huh?
The cozy looking room. Yeah, that looks like a place I'd like to be.
Yeah, it's much better than it's much better than outdoors right now. Yeah,
I bet.
For somebody who professes to be out in it all the fucking time, no, not when it's this cold.
Talking of out in it, we better ask the question, eh?
What have you done this week to get out in it? Got out in it. You go first.
What have I done this week? Well, I've done a lot of traveling with work this week, so I've been on and off trains a lot. That I know that's not exactly the.
Does it count?
Does it count? I don't know. But to be honest, it's been very snowy, very icy. I've gone for a couple of walks this week. I'm still not quite running, but I am lifting weights in my indoor training room downstairs. So that activity is happening, and I am planning on going for a run tomorrow morning to see where my hip is at and do a bit of an assessment. I'm going to strap on some proper winter grippy trail shoes and go for a wander down the lanes tomorrow morning.
That sounds exciting. Is that going to be your first run of 2024?
It's my first run of 2024. It's my first run since late November 2023. And I mean, even that was sporadic, wasn't it? I had a minor comeback, and then
you did.
and then it all went to shit.
We celebrated too early.
We did celebrate too early. But yeah, my getting out in it is more of a I would say the last week and a half, 2 weeks, it's been a refocusing for me, addressing diet, making sure I'm in the right mindset for this year to come, understanding what I need to do, where I need to be, what I need to do to get there, and putting a roadmap in place to make that happen. So that's been my getting out in it, really. What about you? What have you done this week to get out in it?
Well, mostly this week, I have been almost back to my... Got a massive dent in your head. What is in the way?
Well, I found out that if I go up here where my pull-up bar is, I can make my head disappear because the background takes over.
That's really weird.
Anyway, carry on.
This week, mostly I've been back to my regularly scheduled training. And I say that with a little trepidation because today I haven't even gone outside once. Actually, that's a big lie. I did go outside.
How was the hill session today?
I didn't do it. I fucked everything off today. I fucked off my sports in the park with my ladies. I mean, it was kind of fair enough because it was such a weird week. Last week, it was bitterly cold, bitterly, bitterly cold, all in the minuses for the whole week. So everybody kind of got used to that. And then at the beginning of this week, it kind of thawed out and we had temperatures of 8 and 10 degrees C, not F. So it was pretty mild for the middle of January. And then last night, it just snow fucked all over us during the night. And when I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock to get ready for my sports in the park session, I was like, don't know if I fancy cycling my bike
No,
all the way down over two
no, no.
hills down to a park. So, and also it was like -2 degrees, and I didn't think that it was necessarily a very good idea to get people outdoors running around, getting sweaty and hot, and then instantly getting cold the minute we stopped
Mm.
and then catching pneumonia.
It's a
So
strange time of year, this one, especially when the snow and the ice comes down, because you have to reel yourself back in as much as you want to get outside and just do it. There is obviously a risk assessment that needs to be done in terms of safety and health and well-being and making sure people got the right gear for it because it's all well and good. I know you've got the right kit to get out and do an exercise session in the morning in the
yeah,
snow and the ice, but you can't be sure that everybody going to these sessions is going to have the right technical equipment to keep themselves warm.
no, and a couple of the ladies already had sent messages in our little WhatsApp group to say that they weren't going to come because they didn't want to drive in those conditions, which is absolutely fair enough. So the only getting out in it I did today was when I took the bin out.
Oh,
That
well,
was
well
it.
done. Well done. But I mean, you have done a fair amount of running this week, haven't you?
Yeah, so I did. Oh, I did my very first long run of the year on Sunday, which was pretty cool. I can't remember what I did. I think I did about 16 Ks in about 2 hours and 10 minutes with about 600 meters of climb. So that wasn't too bad
Very good.
for my very first long run since whenever. On Monday, I did a nice easy run, which was just, I've forgotten everything. That's really bad.
You
I
did
should
a
have written
half an hour
down
easy run on Monday. You
half an
did a
hour easy
speed
run on
session
Monday.
on Tuesday. You had a rest day on Wednesday. No, you didn't. You didn't
No,
do
I
your
didn't.
speed
I
session on
flipped
Tuesday.
it.
You moved your speed session to Wednesday because one of your lessons was cancelled and Tuesday was a nightmare day.
Yeah,
And so then you had a rest day on Thursday, but you did do a hike and a bike ride on Thursday.
I did. Yeah, but that was for work. So, I mean, I know technically I was outdoors.
All
Um,
these things count.
I know it's still movement outdoors, but it hasn't got the same kind of like joy factor as when you're just doing it for shits and giggles, when you know that you've got to teach at the other side of it, and you've got that kind of, oh my God, I can't be late kind of thing going on. Um, so yeah, I mean, I suppose this week I was out in it quite a lot, but I it was just really weird this morning when I woke up and it was so so cold. And like my whole brain just went, fuck this shit. And I haven't gone outdoors. I've just stayed
Yeah.
in with my candles and my comfy sofa and various cups of different types of tea.
It was -8 when I woke up yesterday on my car before I drove up to Bristol for the day. Um, and I must say that night in bed was the first time this year I've struggled to get warm whilst in bed. I really had to, you know, wrap myself up in various duvets and things.
Blimey. Yeah. So yeah, weird cold snap overnight. So yeah, that kind of fucked everything up. But what I was thinking, because I didn't do my sports in the park this morning and I don't really want to go outdoors today, but I don't want to not do anything today. So the session I planned for my ladies, I think I might just do in my flat.
Okay, sounds like a
Yeah. I
plan.
think I
Have
might just
to
do that this evening.
shift some furniture around, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. And just see what that session would have been like.
Well, I'm going to do
It
a
would have
weight
been, it
session.
would have been an absolute bastard in the freezing cold.
I'm going to do a weight session, so you're more than welcome to join me for that virtually if you want to do some strength.
Nah, you're all right.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I mean, it sounds like things are progressing nicely. I mean, it's very difficult to legislate for weather, and sometimes when the weather comes like this, you do just have to roll with it and let
Yeah.
it play out and let it be what it is. Because if you haven't got the the right amount of kit, then go all these posts you see where people just say, "Oh, just get out and it, be hard, do what you got to do." Only if you've got the right equipment and stuff that's going to keep you appropriately safe, healthy,
Mm.
and warm.
Absolutely, yeah. Because I I was doom scrolling, during my lunch, and I saw lots of posts from people who are like, "It's -17." There's pictures of them with all these snowy backgrounds and, like, "Don't be afraid of the cold," kind of stuff, and it's like, "Ah, fuck off." Because you know, sometimes it sucks to be in the cold.
These posts, I agree with that, but there is, in my mind, if you're gonna do a post like that, be useful with it. Tell people what they could do to get out in the cold. What useful tips and hints and tips. Anyway, more on that later.
Okay, interesting, intriguing.
More on that later. Shall we get into our main topic of the day?
Let's get into it. Yes.
Getting into it. So then, processed foods. We are sliding towards February. What is it now? The
Literally,
yeah,
quite literally, with all this ice and frost.
day of recording is the 19th of January. So we're looking at sort of 10-ish days left of the month, that usable time. And then it's going to be February. And we've said that for the month of February, what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
Usable time. You speak so weirdly.
The yeah. So then it's going to be February, and we've said for the month of February, we are going to be completely avoiding all processed food. And we're going to do that as a team. We're going to keep each other accountable. We're going to support each other. I'm going to have to, pry you away from the crisps and the what else do you mainly consume that's processed?
My processed food, what would you call them? Vices, I suppose,
I
is
think I think before we get into what our vices are, we should define what we mean by processed food, because you've got your kind of unprocessed food, which is like, or minimally processed food, which is kind of like your ingredients, isn't it? You
yeah,
know, all the bits and pieces that you would make a meal out of.
fruit and
And then,
veg.
yeah, yeah, fruit, veg for people who aren't vegan, meat, fish, things like that. For us, it might be tofu, beans, lentils, legumes, fruit, vegetables,
Basically,
tomatoes.
anything that hasn't been fucked with by a factory.
Yes, indeed. And then you've got your processed ingredients, which are like, sugars, salts, fats, oils, stuff like that, which is kind of the stuff you use to cook, to flavor cooking. And then processed food is a combination of the two things that you buy in that state. So if you buy something that's had oil, salt, sugar or oils added to it, then that is a processed food. And then they've got something called ultra processed food,
Mm.
which is anything that's got 5 or more ingredients added to it when you buy it.
Like all of those, like additives, like E numbers and
Yeah,
emulsifiers and
additives,
all
I
that
mean,
jazz.
it's 5 or more ingredients and stuff that's not generally used in home cooking. So
Oh,
if
that's
it's
interesting.
if it's not generally used in home cooking, such as
Like MSG.
preservatives, emulsifiers, sweeteners, artificial colors, flavors,
All right, Bristolian.
stuff like that, and stuff and things, and basically it gives these foods a really, every time I grab my bar like I normally do, my hand disappears.
Looks like you keep slipping off into a different dimension.
It gives these foods a really long shelf life. And
Mm.
I always think that
And
when,
also a delicious taste.
yeah, yeah, indeed.
Mildly addictive, and you just want more.
Yeah, and when you have a food that never goes out of date, never sort of gets moldy or anything like that, that is a key indicator of something that's been fucked with.
Fucked within a factory.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And often, back in the day, the trick was to add loads and loads of salt to things to make it addictive, but then to add other things to take that flavor of salt away to make it palatable, but your system still picked up the sensation of the salt. So you'd get sort of this addictive feeling when you're eating these foods.
Not great, though.
Not great, no. And
Mm.
that's, in my opinion, this is how it's this ultra processing of food, adding of sodium, adding of salt that gave salt a bad name. Because, as you know,
Yeah.
as I've said to you many, many times, I'm a big fan of salt. I think it's really important. It's really important when you're doing endurance exercise. It's really important for hydration. It's really important for your electrolytes. It's important for your system to be able to absorb liquids properly and actually hydrate. But then it got a really bad rap because, when food started getting highly, highly processed, people were having far too much of it accidentally. They didn't know they were having too much salt. They just were having far too much. And then they were adding it to their food afterwards. And people were like, oh, salt's a bad thing. Don't add salt to your food. But in reality, salt isn't a bad thing. The overconsumption of it on an extreme level, on an industrial scale, is a bad thing.
Yeah, because so I'm just going to segue just slightly because I'm going to be talking about this book a lot this year while we do all of our challenges. Because basically, all of these 2024 challenges were born out of my listening to this book, which is a book called How Not to Age by Dr. Michael Gregor.
Where
And
did this come
it's
from? Did I recommend this book to you, or did you find it random?
no, 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 no. It was we had watched a Netflix series called
Good
You Are
question.
What You Eat.
There you go.
And he was in it.
In it?
He was one of the talky people in that series, which was basically a massive twin study on food. Anyway, so and then like in a weird kind of case of synchronicity, because I have Audible, when I was listening to my book one day with Audible, they flash up different books that you can that they want you to buy.
That's not synchronicity. That's cookies and shit.
Possibly. But his book, How Not to Age, popped up. And I was like, oh, that's that dude from that thing that we just watched the other day. And also because I just turned 45, like a couple of days previously, I was like, huh, interesting. Should probably read that. So we did, and it scared me shitless. And then this whole year of challenges based around food and movement was born. So thanks for that, Dr. Michael Greger. You made me shit my pants and be scared of everything.
It's safe to say that book has changed your life, for the moment.
Yeah,
Mm,
definitely, definitely.
mm.
Um, but what was I going to say? That was my segue. That was a not a segue. That was a tangent. Um, oh yes, salt. That's it. And because he talks about salt in How Not to Age, and talks about the diseases that can be avoided because we eat too much salt. So I'm just a bit confused. Like, who's right, you or him?
Yeah, we're both right. We're both on the same page. I mean, I'm sure if you sat down with him, he would say the human body needs an appropriate amount of salt depending on activity levels,
Right, okay.
But what we don't need is a huge amount of stealth salt added into things that we eat on a day-to-day basis, because then the
Okay.
amount of salt you consume would be far and above your recommended daily allowance.
Right, okay.
But if
Because
you're out doing an ultramarathon, you're training for an ultramarathon, or you're training for anything, you're going to be sweating salt out of your body, and you need to replace those electrolytes.
right, okay. Okay, so the problem is probably all of the secret salt that's in ultra processed foods.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a case of people having salt snuck into their diet without ever reading the labels on things, without looking at the amount of sodium they are actually taking into their bodies by eating all this yummy food, and I'm having far too much of it.
Okay, so let's talk then about our very first 2024 challenge in February, which is now on the I did start with no processed food, but then when I did the infographic, which has gone out to all of our subscribers, our newsletter subscribers, I changed that to limit processed foods because so I changed it to limit processed food instead of a full no processed food because I am aware that my life is quite easy. I don't have children. I haven't got a family that I need to feed, and I've got quite a flexible work schedule. So I felt that by dumping on this massive no processed foods for a month kind of challenge might be a little bit difficult for some people, especially if they're time strapped or, work weird hours or whatever. So I changed it to limit processed foods. So maybe if there is something like me with crisps at the weekend, if there is something that, if there's an ultra processed food that people are regularly eating all the time, then maybe that one or those one or two things can be something that they swap out for something healthier instead of a blanket, no processed food, motherfucker, kind of
Yeah,
thing. Do you know what I
absolutely.
mean?
I mean, I think we said last week, didn't we, in the intro to this when we summarized all of the things we're going to do throughout the year. All of these are advisories. You know, we're going to go all in to see what
We're gonna
happens.
go balls out,
We're going to
full
keep ourselves
mental
accountable,
challenge. Yeah.
and we're gonna stay very, very healthy. We're gonna make sure we eat enough calories, eat enough food day in, day out at the right times, but we are gonna go all in on the no processed food
Yeah.
to the point where, we are still gonna cook our food. It's not gonna be raw. We're gonna process it ourselves. We are gonna make meals out of whole foods, out of proper
Yeah.
ingredients. We're not gonna have any ultra processed food in our life at all for that month. But for you listening at home or watching on YouTube, you know, even if it's just to cut out some processed foods, that will make a difference to your health. As long as you replace those calories, as long as you're getting enough daily calories for whatever lifestyle or activity level you're leading, then, that's fine. But just make some changes. Even if it's just once a week cutting out all processed food, twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Or if you want to go all in with us, go all in and give us a shout and let us know how you're going.
Yeah, because what you should do if you're going to go all in with these challenges with us, you should sign up to our newsletter, which I think the link will be in the show notes.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and then because we're going to be sending out all sorts of stuff to our subscribers about these challenges, so you can come along and actually join in the the roller coaster ride with us.
And it's gonna
And
be real, isn't it? It's not gonna be some social media influencer fluff bullshit about, "I haven't had processed food for 5 days, and I've got this surge of energy, and I feel amazing." It's
no,
gonna
it's going to
be
be rage. There's going to be rage after Sunday long runs when I can't eat a giant, massive packet of crisps.
it's gonna be
Oh,
honest,
fucking
though. It's
hell.
gonna be very, very honest in terms of what we're doing and what we're trying to do, and, um and we're going to let you know how we feel. If that's good, then it's good. If it's bad, then it's bad. We're going to tell you what we're eating, what we're not, what we're enjoying, the level of movement we're doing, what we're doing to replace um, nutrition while we're exercising. So we're going to be homemaking and hand making a lot of our own nutrition. I'm going to be making my own gels and energy balls and stuff like that. And you're going to be doing all your bits and pieces.
I am going to be doing all of my bits and pieces.
I don't know what you're going to make. What are you going to make?
I don't know. I don't know yet. This is the intriguing thing. I suppose um what we could talk about now is our processed food crutches.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think we touched on this a little bit a minute ago, but the problem with ultra processed foods is they often contain a huge amount of saturated fat, salt, and sugar. And when you eat them, you get a very calorie dense food that doesn't leave you very satiated
Or have very much nutritional value.
or have very much nutritional value. So you leave less place in your diet for nutritional foods that keep you satiated. Now, we may well be two presenters on a podcast called Get Out On It that's all about health, well-being, wellness, exercise and stuff, but we're not great, are we?
You're
We're not
really bad.
we're not great at this. We're both plant-based. You consider yourself full vegan. I consider myself more of a plant-based warrior. Whereas but that I mean, I've said before and I'll keep saying over and over again, just being vegan doesn't mean you're healthy. Being whole food plant based, kind of, you're getting there. But just being vegan doesn't mean you're healthy. And me and you are very guilty sometimes of straying down the processed food trail.
And I
Where
think
does it
even
start for you?
well, I just want to just make a, and it's very, very pedantic, but there's when you were talking about the difference between plant-based and vegan, you can also be unhealthy plant-based. what Dr. Michael Greger goes to pains of pronouncing in his book is whole food
That's
plant-based.
exactly what I said. Whole food, plant based. You've taken the whole
Okay.
food out of it and accused me of just saying
Okay.
plant based.
Fair enough. But
Yeah.
whole food plant-based, that's what we're going for.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
said if you're whole food plant based, you're getting there.
yeah. Okay. We agrees. Okay,
But I
so
said I was plant based. I said you're vegan. I'm plant based. You can't be a healthy. Vegan doesn't automatically mean healthy. But if you're a whole food plant based, you're getting there. Was I
yeah.
think what I said.
Okay, agree agrees. So crutches. So for me, especially on my busiest work day in the week, I tend not to cook. I will go for stuff that, well, normally my lunch on a Wednesday is oven chips and baked beans, which has very little in the way of nutrients, but it's fucking yum.
Well, beans
And
have
when,
fiber and protein, but like, what is it about that day? I mean, for you, is it the case? Is it just ease and quickness? But is there a comfort level in that because of
yeah,
that
when,
specific day and how busy it is?
yeah, I Wednesdays have always been my busiest work day because I live in France and I'm a private tutor. Here in France, kids don't go to school on a Wednesday. So the majority of my students of the week are on that Wednesday. So I'm flying about the place, getting to all of these other students either on my bike or for the last couple of weeks because the weather's been absolutely shitty. It's been walking. So I am moving around a lot as well as teaching a lot. And chips and beans is very quick and easy to make, but it is a massive source of comfort. Like when I'm um, teaching all the morning, the only thing that would get me through those lessons was knowing that at lunchtime, I've got chips and beans. That sounds really pathetic, but honestly, it's it's food goals. It was something to look forward to at the
What
end
is
of a
it
really, really,
about
really
what is
busy
it
week.
about chips and beans? Because
I don't know.
we know that, you know, what do you think the body gets from chips and beans? Because we know logically a really nice multi-ingredient full of veggies meal is on paper nicer than chips and beans. But what is it about chips and beans?
I don't know. It's just a dirty feast.
Yeah,
It like dirty food.
yeah.
You can't beat it, really. That's why it's so fucking yum. That's why we crave it all the time. But
Just for
yeah,
the
so that
saltiness.
yeah. So that was that was kind of is, and I'll have to stop that in February, and I'm a little bit dreading it, but that was my go-to on a Wednesday. And then normally during the rest of the week, I'm not too bad. I'm all right for I cook and all that kind of stuff. It's not too bad. But then we get to the weekend and I kind of let everything go a little bit. So I'll eat the junk food because I say, well, it's the weekend. I do a long run on a Sunday, so I'm using up a fuck ton of calories. So it doesn't matter that I'm eating two or three family size packets of crisps, cookies, all the junk food and all the processed vegan meat alternatives, like chicken, like fake chicken burgers and stuff like that, burger and chips.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. It's like for me, I am very, very, very disciplined normally when I'm in the UK. Christmas is like one big weekend for me. So I'm
Mm,
coming out of every Christmas I drop the ball. I drop the ball for like 2 weeks pretty much, and I eat a load of crap. But normally when I'm in the UK, I'm very, very disciplined. I eat very similar things. I eat a lot of whole foods, a lot of veggies, nuts, lentils, pulses. But I do have every day with that meal, I have a portion of something which I suppose it's cheating to call it a protein. And it has
mm,
got protein in it, but I would say, oh, I'm having that for as a protein source. And it would be some kind of processed fake vegan meat
mm,
in whatever guise that is. Sometimes it would be just normal tofu that I've fried up and put into a stir fry, but often it's a meat alternative. And
Mm,
I've been telling myself probably for the last year that's okay because that's my protein source. Whereas
yeah.
in reality, there are much, much, much healthier places for me to get my protein from:
Mm.
lentils, legumes, tofu that is unadulterated. Because tofu, in the blocks, the soya blocks that you buy, that doesn't count as processed food.
Yeah, I was just about to ask that
Mm.
if because it's packaged and everthing like that,
No, no, it doesn't. So
it
tofu
doesn't
like
count as
that
processed, okay.
doesn't count as processed, no, because it's minimally processed. It's minimally it's unprocessed or minimally processed, and that is a minimally processed entity.
Okay.
Now, for me, the problem comes when I'm with you. Other than obviously having this meat alternative every day is something I'm going to address and cut out. Um, and I'm gonna replace that with beans, legumes, lentils, and maybe just more tofu because I tend to eat a lot of tofu anyway. I dry fry every day. I dry fry thin tofu strips and use them to eat hummus,
Nice.
like their pita breads.
Mm.
Um, when I'm in France, it feels like I'm on, despite the fact I'm often still working, it feels like I'm on holiday.
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it? Because
And
you're going to a foreign country
yeah,
and the surroundings have changed. So like, holiday mode. I'll eat anything I like because everybody knows that holiday calories don't count.
yeah, I mean that's only the start of it, really. Well, no, that's I get to France and I'm in that zone, but I'm in that zone often because I have got a real mental problem with when I'm in my car and staying healthy. I've done a lot of driving over the last three, four, five. Well, I've always done a lot of driving for work. I've commuted long distances in the past. I'm always in my car, and I've always had this strange relationship with service stations where I love salt and vinegar crisps. I love salt and vinegar discos. I love salt and vinegar discos so much that sometimes, when we were talking to Mark and Jen,
Yes.
yeah, and Mark would say when he had that extreme, he has those massive binges of eating,
Mm.
binge eating disorder. I can relate to that when I'm in my car and I would buy 7 bags of salt and vinegar discos sometimes and just like it's almost like you say, holiday calories. I would be convinced that car calories don't count. It's
Yeah.
something I've been working on very hard, but I still have got to try and get out of that because it's an association.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's
I
habits, the
associate being
habits that
in
we
my
formed.
car with stopping at service stations to charge it, with getting some food in, and I need to break that association and turn it into something else. What I did the other day when I was coming back from Bristol is I had to stop and charge. I had 50 minutes of sitting at Bristol Gordano Services or some godforsaken place. And so I went in.
There's nothing quite so depressing as a British service
No,
station,
no,
is
there really isn't. No, there really isn't. So I was in there, and I got myself a minimally processed protein bar, which was made of like
okay.
nuts and seeds and stuff. And
What, like
because
a
I had,
naked bar?
yeah, something like that, because I hadn't eaten, because I'd forgotten my lunch that I was going to take to Bristol, and I'd managed to get loads of salads and things, but I hadn't really got any heavy protein sources. I bought myself one of those Huel protein drinks
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
necked that. And that was the first time I would say in a long time I've managed to stop and be at a service station with going to get food without getting a packet of salt and vinegar discos. And
good
I was
work.
very proud of myself. So I'm trying to disassociate that. And I think this month of February is going to really help because I'm just going to treat it like it's a job, not eating processed food. And
Yeah.
I'm very enthused by the idea of it and I'm up for it.
That's that's kind of why I wanted to do a year of challenges instead of set like a New Year's resolution
Mm,
because, I mean, I've even in like my daily life with my writing and all this kind of so anything like that, I always set these massive fucking goals, and then don't achieve them. And then I have a little bit of a, well, fuck it all moment kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
oh, absolutely.
So I thought if I did different things every single month, and then if there were new good habits that I picked up and enjoyed, then I could keep them. But then if there were others that I kind of failed miserably at or were too hard or I didn't like or didn't make that much difference or whatever, then I could just chuck them by the wayside. And I thought that would be much because it's just for a month then. You're not thinking, fuck me, I've got to do this the entire fucking year. No,
Exactly.
no,
And
it's just
also,
it's just
a
30
month is
days.
long enough to reset a habit, which is
Yeah,
really
totally.
what I'm hoping for on this from this month is I want to come out of it feeling like I can get to a service station and not feel like I want to buy myself some crisps. And then once, because often when I come to France, I'm driving down. So I'm driving because I've got a Tesla. I drive from charge point to charge point, which are often at service stations. So I can set off with the best intentions. By the time I've got to France, I've had 4 or 5 service station stops, got
Mm.
myself loads of sweets and crisps, and by the time I get there, I'm in fuck it mode. And then I'm like, oh, let's go to the boulangerie and get some bread and just put loads of butter on it, and it'd be lovely.
Oh, fucking
Which, by the
hell.
way, is
Bread.
lovely
Oh, bread from the bakery that's still slightly warm.
with butter in it.
Ah, and it melts the butter and it heats up the
Yeah.
jam. Oh, it's so good. There's nothing wrong with bread.
No, no, as long as it's
There's
wholemeal.
nothing wrong with bread.
The most
Um,
important thing that we can emphasize through this is that calories in, calories out is critical. You know,
mm.
just because you're not eating processed food doesn't mean you can eat thousands of extra calories and not get bigger. You might want to get bigger. You might be weight training, bodybuilding. So your ambition might be to get bigger. You might have to, if you're thinking about your diet, more calories might be important to you. So getting bigger and gaining weight might be important. It might not be. Losing weight might be important. Just because you're not eating any processed food doesn't mean that you don't have to eat the appropriate amount of calories to keep yourself healthy and happy, whilst also being in a slight deficit to lose weight. So it's, we're not here to govern or dictate any sort of eating regimen to anybody. We are just taking control of what we're doing. We're trying to improve some bad habits that we've got, especially when we're together, because we do have a habit of yes, we're
Feeding off
very
each other. It's
yeah,
really
we
bad. We kind of all of the food-based thing. We egg each other on a little bit with
yeah,
with
we're
bad
very
food.
active. We'll go out for a 20, 30 kilometer hike. We'll do a 20-kilometer run when our hips aren't working. You will. We'll do an outdoor sports session. We're always active, but then we're like, oh, you know what? We only see each other maybe once a month, once a month and a half. So let's get a burger in. Why not get a
Let's get a
burger in? We
fucking
deserve a
cake. Let's
burger,
eat
don't
all the
we?
fucking cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, because there was the habit that I'd got into. This would have been before the UTBV because the UTBV was my last big race of the year. So when I was doing some big old long runs on Sunday, so I had a couple of months, probably more, where my long runs were between sort of 30 and 45 kilometers for my Sunday long run. And I was getting into the habit of on the Saturday, I'd go down the local shop and I'd buy a fucking liter bottle of Schweppes Agrooms. Oh, it's fucking lush though, isn't it? Whack that in the fridge overnight. Stock up on all of my favorite crisp flavors. So there'd be a minimum 2 packets of Crispies. And then I would also make sure that there was a big old bag of oven chips in the thingy, a can of beans, and some kind of vegan burger type thing. And then when I got back after my Sunday long run, while my food was cooking, I downed the fucking liter bottle of Schweppes Agrooms, which is basically just liquid sugar.
Sugar water.
Eat, sorry.
Sugar water.
Yeah, basically. Eat all of the Crispies, and then by the time I'd stuffed all of that shit down my gullet, my dinner would be ready, which is burger, chips, and beans. Not great. So
No, no.
the associations that I'd built up as well, that after my Sunday long run, I could eat this fucking terrible feast of fat and salt and sugar that was yum as fuck, but probably not doing my body any good after such a
No.
long session of training.
And like we had some interviewees last year, didn't we, who told us
Mm,
just that. People
got
who are
told off for
experts,
that. Yeah.
certainly experts in female health and female runners, saying that your body needs replenishing
Yeah.
after a session like that. It doesn't need empty calories that just make you feel good. It needs to actually have a
Do stuff.
very
Yeah.
nutritious meal so that it actually can rebuild all those pathways that you destroyed and fibers that you've torn and help you recover. Now,
Yeah.
I'm also hoping that because I mean we've got We sound like we've got a terrible diet, but we haven't. Ultimately, we haven't. We've got quite a healthy day-to-day diet. We eat a lot of fruits and veggies, you know. I'm hoping to get this final disassociation away a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want to live the rest of my life without treats. That's not what I'm trying to obtain
Mm,
here. Well, I'm just
mm,
interested in a month. I'm interested to see whether I can make my life slightly healthier. And then when I do treat myself, it's a treat rather than something where I'm like, oh, I'm doing this again, and I don't really want to, but I'm doing it because I think I have to do it, and it's what I do.
mm. Yeah,
I
yeah,
want
yeah,
treats to actually be treats. And I'd also like this to try and reset my microbiome a little bit, really get me craving the good stuff again.
yeah, yeah. Because I think this is this is what I'm interested in is how how much more complicated is February going to be with no processed or limited, well, for us, no processed food. I mean, I love cooking. You know that. I love cooking. I love making shit up. My specialty is jazz cooking. Just seeing what the fuck is in my fridge and putting it all together and then seeing if it's edible at the end. And often it is. Sometimes it's not. Um, but I am intrigued to see, is it a feasible lifestyle change to have 0 processed food in your life? And, like,
Yes,
obviously, like you said, there's going to be treats, there's gonna be birthdays and holidays and all sorts of stuff where,
Christmas.
yeah, obviously, we're gonna get the fucking cake out. But just for this month, how complicated will it be to have 0 processed foods? I think that's what I'm intrigued/shitting myself about a little bit.
Yeah, I think preparation is key, isn't it? For me,
Mm.
especially when you're doing exercise and things, like I'm gonna have to make gels, I'm gonna have to make energy balls. Are you considering electrolyte tabs processed?
Ah, that's
Because
interesting.
otherwise, you're gonna have to make your own electrolyte juice, which you can do. I've got recipes for that. But
Mm. Yeah,
I,
I'm gonna have to make my own, fruit smush for my gels because normally when, we've discussed this quite a lot on the pod already, I can't really do the gels, and I did find that, little dry biscuits, were good, or pretzels or something like that. I could munch on those. Luckily, my long ones at the moment are only just over 2 hours
mm,
now, so it's not too bad. I don't need a fuck ton of nutrition while I'm out and about, but um, fruit mush works nicely for me.
yeah,
So
yeah. So I
probably
mean,
gonna
we've
do
got
that.
to get to a place where, because I want to eat healthier. I want to crave the healthy things. I don't want to crave the bad things. And I have been hanging right because I eat within a time restricted window, and which I've changed slightly now, but previously midday was my starting point, and I would hang a lot around that midday lunch
Mm,
and piling a load of stuff on, and one of those things would be a fake meat or something.
yeah.
Now I've got a big test the first weekend of this February because I'm in Birmingham for that week for work, so I'm staying in a hotel.
Oof.
That's gonna
Okay.
be that's gonna be tricky. Um, and then I'm meeting some friends in Birmingham and catching up with some old college and uni mates for the weekend,
Uh-oh.
and we're staying in a hotel together. So alcohol counts as processed food, doesn't it?
It's ultra
Yeah.
processed
So I'm
food.
gonna have it's gonna be a test because I'm catching up with some old mates, and I'm gonna have to. I'm determined not to drink any alcohol and to stay on this because I want to see this through. So they're in for a surprise, I think. But
So, when in the newsletter, when when I wrote to our subscribers and put the little hashtag James will break first, I think that's gonna happen on that first week of Feb now when
no,
you're out
no, I
with your
don't think.
mates.
No. I tend to. I tend to stick to my guns on this one. I intend to. I also don't want. Um, there'll be people there who aren't drinking.
Okay.
It's not a massive. It'll be fine. And it's more the food side that I'm worried about, to be honest. I don't tend to drink any alcohol this time of year anyway. I'm staying in a hotel. I'm gonna have to take stuff with me.
Yeah, because it depends. Because the hotel will have a they'll have a restaurant.
Yeah, I know, but isn't help me with this because you're in a restaurant and you order
Yeah.
something, isn't that processed?
Like, just the act of cooking is processed, but if you ordered something like, I don't know, a vegetable pasta thing, yeah, they're gonna cook the vegetables and they're gonna cook the pasta, but it's not like you're going into a supermarket and buying a ready meal. They'll
No.
be cooking that from scratch.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's no different to you buying a bunch of ingredients and cooking yourself a vegetable pasta at home.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, that's gonna be the uniqueness of it. I'm gonna take my little smoothie kit with me so I can make my morning smoothies with all my nuts and seeds and all that extra stuff in it. And then it's gonna be an interesting one that weekend.
Yeah, but I mean, if in doubt, bring your own food. Because I remember when I first moved over here to France and I was vegan, this was like 15 years ago, next to impossible to find any vegan food out and about. If I went into a cafe or anything like that, there would be nothing there for me.
Yeah, but this is
So
city
I
centre
got in.
Birmingham. I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah, you'll be absolutely fine. There'll be plenty of things, but I got into the habit very, 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 very quickly. If I was going to be out all day away from my house, I'd bring a packed lunch almost. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'd have a little lunchbox with snacks and stuff in so that I could eat.
I plan to drink a lot of soda water when I'm out.
Good work.
Pints and pints of soda water because I'm great fun on a piss up me.
uh,
So yeah, is
so
there
yeah,
anything else you
it's
want
going
to
to be
add to
intriguing.
this?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, there was one thing that I wanted to say because on our podcast last week, we kind of went through what all of the monthly challenges were going to be this year.
Uh-huh.
And one of them at that time was one month was no caffeine, no coffee. Um, but since listening to Dr. Michael Greger's book, actually, it turns out that coffee has got a lot of fucking benefits. Um, so I've changed that challenge
What's it going to
to
be
keep
then, Maria Herring? Let
to
us all
keep your
know.
coffee. Oh, I can't remember what it's going to be. Oh, hang on, it might be in my notes.
I
But
think
yeah, I changed
you
it because
started this topic because you knew what it was going to be.
I know I should have known.
I was quite looking
Um,
forward to the no caffeine month because I'd find that really quite easy, I think.
Ooh, yeah, I changed it to because that was in August. August was going to be no caffeine month because it's summer holidays and I wouldn't be teaching. But we changed it to daily dozen because the same dude, Dr. Michael Greger, who wrote all of these books, How Not to Age, How Not to Die, How Not to Diet, all of those things. He's also got an app called Your Daily Dozen, and it's basically an app that not tells you, it helps you see the kind of foods that you can be eating throughout the day to make sure that you get your calories and your nutrients and all that kind of stuff. So August's challenge will now be for people to download that app, which I've done. I think you've done that too, huh?
I
Yeah.
have. I've used it once. I find it a bit you just press the button, you just tick the boxes, don't you? I mean, I just know what I'm doing, so I'm not interested in
Yeah.
just ticking the boxes.
But that's quite interesting to keep track of
Yeah.
what healthy foods that you're eating in that day. The most I've ever got in one day so far, because they mark it out. It's called the Daily Dozen, but they give you points, and you can get a maximum of 24 points.
Mm-hmm.
And the most I've ever got in one day was 17.
Oh, there you go.
Not bad. But the lowest I've ever got was 9.
Okie doke.
That was a Wednesday. Yeah, it's not great. Anyway, so we changed that. So yeah, last week's pod said that we were doing a no caffeine, no coffee month, but actually there's a lot of benefits in the coffee bean, the humble coffee bean. So we're keeping that in. Thank fuck. Just because
Yes,
I was dreading that one.
indeed. Well, I think that's probably it for the main part of the
Mhm.
of the pod.
Yes.
I think we should now move on. We should what do we say? We normally say let's go and have a coffee and talk all about it or something, but we're not going to have a coffee, are we?
We're not going to have a coffee. We're having
We're not.
a weekly post.
It's the weekly post.
The weekly post. Is that it?
So I went searching for a weekly post.
Okay.
I went searching for something that was going to give us a little bit of instruction and help us out in these winter months when it's super cold. Now,
Okay.
it's interesting you started the pod with a sort of I don't like these posts that are telling you just to get out and do it. I agree, and I think there's a lot of very unhelpful social media posting out there when it comes to this time of year. Just get out and do it, get out and do it. But what you need is people that are going to help you get out and do it sensibly, you know.
Mm.
And I went to my old friend, pro triathlete Skye Moench, and she'd posted a video
Oh, I
of
love
her.
Skye.
She'd posted a video of her training in the snow, and it says winter has properly arrived this week with multiple snowstorms and more on the way. People ask me how I train through the winter, and the answer is I just do. My thoughts on winter training. Training partners help a lot. I think less about the cold if I'm with friends. Investing in good warm training clothes is worth every penny. If it's not made of wool or fleece lined, then I don't want it. Some days I seriously lack motivation, but I try not to overthink it and just get the job done. Motivation usually shows up once I get started. I remind myself that indoor training on the bike is very high quality and my legs will thank me later. Getting outside to run can be tough, but after being outside, my mood is usually elevated. Happy training this weekend, and especially to everyone living in winter right now. We've got this snowman emoji.
Nice. Ah, thanks, Skye. I do love her. She's amazing.
Yeah, she is great. She's
Amazing.
great. And I thought that was just an interesting little post because, yeah, it's not all about just getting out and doing it. Find somebody to do it with, invest in good quality clothing, think about the process. And if you can do some indoor training, do some indoor training and don't beat
Mhm.
yourself up about it.
Yeah, because I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like we're all like none of us here is a pro athlete. We're training and moving ourselves because we want to live long, healthy lives, not because we want to get a podium somewhere. So I think there is obviously a big difference between, my goals and Sky's goals. We can still learn a lot from her process. But if I don't go out today, because it's too fucking cold and I don't want to slip down a trail and break my neck, it doesn't matter.
No, no. In 40 years' time, your longevity won't remember that one day you missed. It'll remember
Yeah.
that 6, 7 months, 5 years of consistent training you did do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I've been out every single day this week training, so it's fine. And I'm going for a nice long hike tomorrow with one of my girlfriends, so that's going to be lovely.
Oh,
I've got my
nice.
long run. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because tomorrow we're going to have sunshine.
Nailed it.
I'm
Wrap up
so
warm.
excited. So yeah, it's going to be cold, but there's going to be sunshine. So I'm excited for that. And then on Sunday, I've got my long run, and it's also going to be sunny on Sunday. So I know today was cold and miserable. And yes, Sky is right. If I'd have gone out today and done my hill repeats like I was supposed to, probably I would have come back with a much more elevated mood, but I didn't. So sucks to be me. But I've got tomorrow to look forward to, my hike with my girl, and then my long run on Sunday to look forward to. So it's okay. I'm all right.
All right. Shall
I'm
we
all right.
shall we be honest?
Okay. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. What have you got?
Um, it's difficult. I feel like I was quite honest while we were, and so let's be honest now. In our new changed format of the pod, are our let's be honest going to be about the challenge or our training?
Well, I think it can be both. I think it can be
Okay.
both. At this point in the second season of Get Out on It, the February challenge hasn't started. So it
Oh, that's true.
logically has to be about your training.
Okay.
But I think as the episodes go on, we can flip between the two, however hard we're finding the challenge or the training or a combination of the two factors that affect each other.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, I have wibbled on about how cold it was today, but there was one thing actually that I did this week that I'd like to share with people, because I know the no processed or the limited processed food challenge hasn't started just yet, but there is one thing that I've already done thanks to that famous book, which I will be referencing the whole fucking year now. There's been a big change I've already made. Um, is the protein, the alternative ultra processed vegan proteins. Um, and what the doctor recommends is having sort of three different beans a day. So like chickpeas, lentils, and then like white beans or something like that. Which is a lot of faff every single fucking day. Do you know what I mean? It's like, for fuck's sake, which three beans today? So what I did earlier on in the week is I made a whole bunch of three different beans. I did lentils, chickpeas, white beans, and red beans, all prepared and stuff, and then mixed them all together and put them in a big old fucking tub, and I put that in my fridge. And so when I'm doing my dinner, whatever I'm cooking, I can just take a bunch of mixed beans out my fridge and chuck it in. And
There you
actually,
go.
yeah, it's been really useful and a massive time saver. So I
I
was
mean,
quite proud of myself for
I
that.
think these are the sort of hacks we're going to have to implement throughout this month to make things easy, aren't they?
Yeah, totally. So it's been a that was a really cool thing. And also um on Sunday, which was my first long run of the year, I didn't want to do the classic crisps and fizzy pop when I got back. But I had cooked lasagna and I'd put a portion in the freezer. So on Saturday night, I took that out the freezer, let it defrost, and then when I got back from my Sunday long run, I had lasagna ready and waiting for me. So I think um, that is going to be a new thing which I can now do, is make sure I've cooked my Sunday long run, post long run food on Saturday. I think that's
Perfect.
yeah. So
Nailed
I
it.
came up with a couple of hacks this week to get good food in my face after I've done my movement, but in terms of the rest of the stuff, yeah, it's been all right. It's just been a bit weird fucking weather. It was really mild at the beginning of the week and I got a fuck ton done with training, and then it fucking cold snapped all over the place and I fucked today off big style. What about your let's be honest?
I think mine comes from trepidation more for something that's happened. I am I'm gonna try and go for a run tomorrow morning. I'm very, very nervous about the state of my condition of my hips and whether I'm gonna be able to get through this year without any further injury. Because I've had, what was it, 2022, January 2022, I broke my ankle.
Oh fuck
That
yeah, I totally forgot about that.
January 2022, I broke my ankle, and that was really the trigger of this whole kinetic chain of nightmare. Um, that then I spent a year, maybe over a year, trying to rehab that, get back to running properly, and then my hip went, and then my other hip went, and I'm very nervous about how things are going to go. So
Mm.
it's playing on my mind because there's nothing I want more than to get running again. There's nothing I want more than to be spending bits of money on awesome running kit that I love. But at the moment, I'm not doing any of that because I'm so scared I don't run anymore.
Mm.
So I'm worried. I'm nervous going into this year, going into tomorrow, see how that goes. I'm going to run up and down the lane. If it feels okay, I'll go a little bit further, and I'm going to keep doing the weights, keep doing the mobility, and try and get my body weight down a little bit as well.
Have you seen Daisy
No,
recently?
no, no, not yet. No, my
Does
appointment
she
got cancelled.
does she know you're going to run tomorrow?
Who knows? Who knows? If she listens to the podcast, she'll find out on Monday.
Do you not think that if you spoke to someone like her or her about that and about whether or not it's a good idea, that would ease your trepidation?
No, I think it is a good idea.
Okay.
Um, because yeah, I mean, look, yes, fine. It may do, but I've already been through the process of rehabilitating one hip and
Mm,
doing that rehabilitation to both sides of my body. Then the other one went. So my trepidation is going to be there whether an expert's telling me I'm doing the right thing or not. Because
right, okay.
an expert was telling me I was doing the right thing, then my other hip went. So I'm going to be concerned about this, irrespective of
Okay.
whether somebody says yes, go for a test run or not. I know going for a test run is fine. I'm not going to go and run 20 kilometers. I'm going to run up and down the lane and back and see how
Mm,
that feels. So it's not, and I'm not going to do anything beyond the reach of what my body can do right now.
fair enough.
Hmm.
Fair enough.
So, but we'll see how tomorrow goes. I'll report back Episode
Nice.
35, I'm quite sure. But shall we go and put some music on and forget about it?
Yes, let's start our new Spotify playlist. Turn it up.
That'll probably do, won't it? What have you got?
Well, because it's the first song of the second playlist, because it's season 2 of Get Out in it, I'm going to start the whole thing with some classic Disturbed, obviously. And because it's the new year, I have chosen their song called Believe, which I think is appropriate for the beginning of a new year. And it's actually from their album of the same name, Believe, from 2002.
Oof.
So long ago.
When I was a young man,
Oh, that's when I was just a little bit less middle-aged than I am
you still
now.
make me feel like a young man, you do.
So I've gone for that one because I thought that was appropriate for the new year. But when actually you listen to the lyrics, it's not really appropriate for a new year, but the title is
There you go.
Believe.
There you go. Mine is a message to all my recurring injuries. And it's a song that was released today, actually, by Marcus King, who's a very good blues guitarist. It's called "Fuck My Life Up Again." That's a direct challenge to all my injuries. Bring it on, fuckers. Let's see how this year goes.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Two good songs to start off the playlist. Love it.
So that's about it from us this week, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's good to be back in the normal kind of rhythm of things, actually.
Yes.
Away from the Christmas break. I think, oh, um, as much as I love Christmas and seeing family and friends over the long holiday period and stuff, being out of routine and schedules like freaks me out sometimes.
Yeah, it does me as well.
So
Does
yeah.
me. I find it very hard to moderate indulgence.
Mm,
I have a kind of, well, I'm just being indulgent right now, and it just happens. And then it's like, well, what's the point in moderating it when I'm in it?
yeah.
Because if I'm healthy for this moment, I'm going to be unhealthy again tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. So what's the point? I might as well just go all in. It's very strange.
It's really strange because I have that too. Do you sometimes think, like over the Christmas period, I was eating so much food and not doing any sports, and then I found myself thinking a couple of times over that period, oh fucking hell, I wish I didn't care about health and fitness. So that I could just like fucking just munch all the stuff and not move off my sofa. Do you
No,
sometimes
no.
think that, or is that just
Yeah,
me?
no, for me it's more a rush to get as much in as possible because I know it's going to end. And then I found myself at the end of the Christmas period coming out of it, and I was suddenly very uncomfortable in my own skin. I was uncomfortable in my clothes, and I was like, right, it's time to refocus now and get back on the wagon,
Mm,
so to
okay, all
speak.
right. So just me then who thinks, oh God, I wish I didn't care. I also wish, I love the fact that I read that book, but I also hate the fact that I read that book because I can't unknow all of that stuff now. Do you know
Yeah,
what I
indeed.
mean?
Absolutely. I mean, we very much are a product of what we eat. You know,
Mm,
everything about us, skin quality, you know, health, ability to move around. A lot of it comes from diet and exercise,
yeah, it all comes from food. Yeah.
strength training. Do it.
Oh, strength training. Yeah. Okay. I'll
If you want to find out more, head to www.getoutinit.events. There's loads of info on there, and you can sign up for the newsletter, download the personal development friend, and book a free consultation with us to discuss your health and fitness needs. There's also going to be regular emails going out about our monthly challenges, updates, and any assistance you may or may not need. Feel free to get in touch. Reach out to us on Instagram. We always reply. We love a chat, and we also love a review because if you leave a review on Apple iTunes, it's really, really useful.
So yes, tell all your friends, bring them along, and we'll have an entire year full of getting out in it and also some random challenges.
Cool, cool. Cheerio.
Bye.
Thanks for hitting the trails with us this week. We'll meet you back here next Monday for more news, more views, more nature.
All the links for our socials are in the show notes. Find and follow us on Facebook, Insta, YouTube and Twitter. You can subscribe to our newsletter from our website for all the latest updates and camp plans. You get a fun free gift when you sign up.
Leave a review on your podcast app. It's really easy and really helps us out.
And if you've got any friends who could do with getting out in it, then bring them along to next week's outdoor adventure. We'd love to have you all with us.
Catch you next week. Cheerio.